All right, so we've had, oh, let me pull the mic back down. So we've had two of these vlogs in a row where I feel like it was kind of like negative, and I don't want it to be that. So let's talk about the super positive topic of regrets, because maybe that's not super. Also, I have the camera the other way, so I can't tell if like my hair is a mess. It probably is because it's very, very wet right now. But, whatever. We're just going to hope for the best that this turns out okay because I really don't want to redo this. But let's talk about regrets because I feel like, what's fascinating to me is that we're right now where I live, it's graduation time, or it's going to be graduation time soon. And this always comes up like in group chats with friends that, like, oh, it's graduation time. Like, do you wish you would have done high school differently or college differently? And it's funny because, like, this answer for a lot of people swings like one of two ways, and I see it both ways, which I don't know if is a good thing or a bad thing. Um, but it's one of those things where also I feel like I should be able to clip this on a shirt, but then it's gonna get in my neck and then not be right. So whatever. Um, but anyway, so it's one of those things where I see it both ways. That yes, I have regrets, but at the same time I don't. And let me explain. So let's start with the regret side. I was a high school athlete and a college athlete, and I enjoyed it, but I put athletics before school every single time. I also thought, like, once I got to college, like, I'm done. Like, there's nothing else to do. We're good here because I did. Like, you always see, like, the movies with college kids that, like, they just party all the time. You just, like, wake up and you just stumble to class, and as long as you show up, like, you're fine. And it took me a while to learn that that's not the case. Even as like a top athlete at my school, like I couldn't just get like passes. Like they wouldn't just like pass me for no reason. Like I actually had to work and do well, and that was a shock for me, especially from high school to college. Because high school I didn't try at all and got B's generally speaking. And then college I didn't try, and all of a sudden I was like one grade level down of a C. And I was like, oh, this is not good. Like some classes I was like legit not doing well at that I had to drop some because I wasn't doing well at. So it took me a long time to realize that, like, oh, I need to put my butt in gear. But the problem is when you have 5-ish years, let's say 6 years, depending on what year of college it is, of like not really trying and doing well, it's really hard to like flip that switch, right? So like I tried and I did better, sure, but I didn't do as well as I probably could have. It kind of just probably shut some doors because it would have been cool to go to grad school at night because there's so many options for that now, which I find really fascinating. That like you can get your master's or doctorate program at night, and it's like not that it's cheap, but it's like more reasonably cost. Like I would have maybe gone that avenue, but because my college grades were like they were fine, but they weren't like great, it's much harder to do that now. So I feel like what's the point? So like that ship has kind of sailed, and like I have a buddy who's going for a doctorate, and like it's cool. Like I mean, he wants to get it, and like he doesn't really need it, I guess, but he's like, no, I want to get it because it'd be cool. Like yeah, I mean that's cool to me. Like and that door is forever shut because of things I did early on in my life, which I mean, it's probably not forever. Sure, if I really worked hard and did some things, I probably could, but like, it's just not really feasible right now or in anytime soon. And it's not something that like it would be just like a nice thing to do, but not like go way out of my way to do, if that makes sense. So that's kind of like a regret. I wish I would have taken school more seriously and stuff like that. A lot of my college friendships, I wish I would have taken some of them more seriously. Like some I took very seriously, and I still talk to a bunch of my college and high school friends. But there's a lot that I was friends with, but I just kind of like let them fade away because I had so many friends and whatever. I was popular, I guess, in high school and college. So I had so many friends and whatever, and I was like, oh, when I get older, I could just do the same. And adult friending is hard. Like it's weird. It's not as easy as I thought it would be. Like it's not terrible, but it's just not as easy as I thought it would be, which is a really weird like thing overall to kind of think about. But whatever. So, I have some regrets like that where I still try to like I don't think it's ever too late that if you have a friend from like high school or college that you haven't talked to in years, like it's never too late to like pick up the phone and call them or whatever. I've done that with a few people and it worked out great. And I've done that with a few people and they're like, well, why are you talking to me? Like you haven't talked to me in like 8 years. I'm like, I know, but I'm trying to. And they're like, nah, we're done. So I get like I don't blame that person. So I have like regrets in that sense of with certain friendships because I just assumed how things would be. But I also wish I would have picked a better major. If someone's young watching this, or if you have kids and your child is just like, "Hey, I want to become a journalist," no, do anything else. Like literally anything else. It'd be better for you and your mental health. So yeah, that's another one where I'm just like, I probably would have picked a different degree, but oh well. I mean, I guess it's worked out. And that's the point. Is that yes, while I regret certain things, at the same time, do I love my life? Yeah. Yeah. I have a fantastic wife and novels. I have a fantastic child. I have a great house. I have a great family life. I have a good friend life. Like everything's good, right? So could it be better? Sure. But then you have like the whole butterfly effect thing where like, well, if I would have changed this, would it change that? And then like my life spirals downhill and, like squirrels are extinct now or something like that, right? So at the same time, I can't really regret it at all. But what I like to do is a lot of times look to the future. So again, the reason this brought up is because I'm in a group chat with a bunch of people, and it almost happens in one of my group chats every single year. Do you regret anything that what you do? And the way I've always liked to approach it is that I have just learned from my past mistakes. I know this is so cliche. This is gonna be a cliche vlog. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to be more positive. It's gonna be a cliche one because I do think it's important to learn from past mistakes because I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, like a ton of mistakes in my life. But I'm happy for all those mistakes. Well, I'm happy for a lot of those mistakes. Some of them would have been really nice to not have made those mistakes. But other ones, I'm really, really happy with those mistakes because it either changed the trajectory of my life and maybe I was going down a path that wasn't great. And because something happened, like shot me back in the right direction, right? Or I was hanging out with certain people that I really probably shouldn't have been hanging out and doing things I shouldn't have been doing. And then because circumstance happened, I stopped being with those people. Like life goes another path, right? Tons of things like that. Tons of things like that. So I'm happy for all those mistakes and I'm happy for the errors I made. And even when just like, again, not doing well at school, well, it's all right because life turned out pretty good, turned out pretty fun and enjoyable. And I still have a lot of life to live. So, that it's not like it's set in stone. So, for example, I've learned a lot about myself. So, like, originally, early on in my life, I was like, okay, I want to be a sports writer. I want to be the next Ray Romano. That was like my dream, was to be Ray Romano from Everybody Loves Raymond. He had it all, right? Had a house, had kids, did sports, just talked about sports all day. What's not to love? And then you actually get into that field and it's terrible. Not that it's terrible, it's not what you think it is. Again, sports journalists make almost no money because they're like, well, you cover sports, so that's your pay. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, that was an actual thing said to me. So, and a lot of it, you have to start at the ground level. So you're covering a lot of like middle school, high school stuff, which actually high school sports is pretty fascinating to watch because like you played at that level. And so you kind of like judge yourself based on what the current standards are. And it's really interesting. And then when you see like true, amazing high school talent, you're like, holy cow, they're better than some of the kids in college at a D1 school that I was at. So, yeah. So you have that. So the work up to a professional level is really, really tough. It's more about who you know. And that's a whole nother vlog of like who you know is way more important than anything else in life. Just networking is the most important thing you can do. If I was to go back and tell myself anything, I would tell myself to network with more people constantly all the time. Like I'm a pretty good networker nowadays, but I wish I would have started earlier and been more aggressive with my networking. I think it would have worked out better for myself, but it's never too late. Learn to network, buy books on how to network. It's honestly one of the most important things you can do in your life. Not just work life, but even personal life. Just trust me on that. So anyway, I forgot where I was originally going with all of that, but yeah, it's oh, we're covering sports. That's right. So covering sports and doing all that stuff. It isn't the life that it seems. And all sports, generally speaking, happen at nights and on weekends. And when you're trying to find like your significant other, it's really hard to find them when generally most people are out on nights and weekends, and you're always working then. So that was really, really tough. So anyway, then I had to like pivot in life, and the life changes that happened because of that were good, right? I made smart decisions after the fact, and it worked out well. But I wish I would have just, not gone down that route because there were years kind of wasted that I should have been really focusing on other things. But oh well, whatever. And even I look at it too with my current job. I don't enjoy my job, for those that know. I don't enjoy my job. I don't like I like what I do. I don't like the company I work for. After the whole sports thing, I was like, okay, I will work for a magazine and I'll just do the 9 to 5 thing, do that for the rest of my life, and that's fine. And I've slowly learned to hate corporations over time because when you get to like no small businesses, generally they treat their employees really well and they treat them more like family versus a corporation. You're truly treated like a number, and it's absolutely terrible. Not all corporations do this, obviously, but it happens to be the ones that I work for do. So I really hate that. But because of all that knowledge, I don't regret what I've done because I'm hoping at some point I can go out on my own and do what I do, but for myself. And I wouldn't be able to do that thing without learning the other thing. So it's like I don't even regret the terrible jobs I've had to do because all those jobs hopefully will line up to me doing something that's more enjoyable and maybe more profitable too. I don't really know. So anyway, I think this is always like a fun time of year to kind of reflect. And I think it's good to have like the thought exercise of like, are regrets good? What regrets do I have? Would I have changed anything? But if I had changed anything, would anything really bad happen? I also meet people who are like, I have no regrets in life. And I always find these people fascinating because I want to be like, do you truly have no regrets? Like, are you just living the motto, no regrets, I'll just do whatever and whatever? Or like, do you truly have no regrets in life? Like, you have never, not that you want to change things, but you've never thought about what life would have been if you chose some other path. Like, that seems weird to me. I feel maybe that's me. Maybe that's because I have like high anxiety, and I just like, oh man, should I have done this? But like, would I have done this? And then I think about it too much and whatever. So maybe those people really do exist. I'm just envious of them, but whatever. But anyway, whole point of this, to be positive about things, is that I think it's a really good time to reflect on like the regrets, and in the way looking at regrets as more of like, okay, a learning exercise of like, okay, it would have been great if I had gone down path B, but I chose path A. But from the lessons I have learned from path A and what possibly could have been B, what would I do in the same situation if it presented itself today? And I think I mentioned this in the past, definitely on live streams and stuff. I have bad anxiety. I have really bad anxiety. And it's really, I've learned to control it better. But when I was younger, it was really bad. But I've learned to control it better. I've learned to get better with it. But the way I have to get like kind of through my anxiety is planning everything and planning every possible reaction to things. This is also why I love AI, by the way. This is a whole side tangent, so I apologize. Vlogging is gonna be a lot of side tangents. One of the coolest things about AI, I think, is that to calm my anxiety, I have to think about all possible outcomes, and then from those outcomes, think about the outcomes of those outcomes, and so on and so forth. And I take it as far as I can mentally take it. So this way, when something happens, what's the thing? Like, so for example, if I was at a job, I'm like, okay, today's the day I give my 2 weeks notice. What are the possible outcomes that can happen, right? Because I'm going to be super anxious about this. One, they go, hey, we're awesome. We're so happy for you, whatever. That's great. And then I think about all the results from that and whatever, whatever. And then, or two, that they're going to be like, all right, well, what if we pay you X amount? Okay, well, let's have that X amount conversation. What is that? Where does that lead to? So you're not caught flat footed. Okay, whatever. Three, we hate you. We hope you never existed. I hope you fail, whatever. Okay. How do I deal with that conversation? Like, four, they just grab a chair and hit me over the head with it. Yes, I have gone that deep on things. Like, okay, how would I handle that? How would I get out of the room that I'm probably going to be in? And I have to think about the room I'm going to be in when I have this conversation. Like, it's wild. Like, I remember doing it to novels one time, like explaining her like all the thought processes that go through like simple things in life. And she's just like, it's exhausting to be you. And I was like, I know, but I'm I was born 88. It's 2025. What am I, 37? I'm going to be 37 soon. So after 37 years of practice doing this, it's like, that's a cakewalk, right? But what's cool about AI is I can literally have it help me go through the thought process. So if you have anxiety, consider using AI for that. Like if you're like me and you have to like process everything out, consider using AI for that. It's been super helpful, super nice, and you can throw like ridiculous questions at it and it doesn't judge you. Like, cause I used to do this with friends and whatever, but like you held back a little bit because like, again, like the chair example, people were like, do you don't actually think that? And be like, haha, of course not. But in my head, I'm like, yeah, I do think that. Like that could be a thing that happens. I don't know. So you can give AI the most ridiculous things ever. And it doesn't care because it's a robot, right? So it's just like, oh yeah, that's a viable option. Here's how you should handle that. Anyway, side note. So anyway, yeah, I think now, like I said, now is always a good time to think about regrets. Would you really have changed anything? How can you apply it to the future? How can you change things? I think about it constantly. Again, it helps me with my anxiety. That's why we kind of went down that whole rabbit hole. But yeah, I'm wondering, like, does anyone else think that way? Like, honestly, like, like, you don't have to like tell me your deepest, darkest anxiety secrets or your regrets or anything like that. But do people like often think about it? Do they reflect on it, or do they just go, man, past is the past, can't change it. I learned my lesson. I now know for the future. Never think about it again. Or do they constantly think about it? Like, because I don't constantly think about it either. But do they constantly think about it? Like, okay, we need to talk about this like 24/7 all the time, like whatever, and like not harp on it, but like it's always in like the foreground of the brain or maybe the background of the brain. So anyway, I'm interested to know which way you fall on these things. Appreciate you all watching this. Thank you all for watching this stuff. These numbers on these vlogs have been surprisingly interesting and surprisingly like really high. So thank you. I really appreciate it. All right, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. See you next time.